Matt Whitaker, former U.S. Acting Attorney General.
This is such a great conversation about America, our future, what's going to save our republic.
We have a great football player. Matt Whitaker is here. Matt.
They tried to bury me. They didn't realize I was a seed.
It's a touchdown, Whitaker.
Former Acting U.S. Attorney General.
Under President Trump.
I'm going to be an unwavering supporter of law enforcement.
Welcome to Liberty and Justice with your host, Matt Whitaker.
Welcome to Liberty and Justice. I'm your host, Matt Whitaker. We have a special guest heading into the midterms of 2022, John McLaughlin. How are you, John?
I'm doing well. 4 days to go. I'm excited.
4 days to go. Well, I'm here in Nevada with Adam Laxalt campaign. As you see, I'm on the bus tour. We just stopped for lunch, and I had I have a chance to grab you. I was with President Trump last night in Sioux City, heading to Missouri on Monday to do a little fly around. So I'm going to focus on Senate and governor. And then at the end, I'd like to hear just a little bit of your kind of take on the House generally, because there's, 435 seats. We don't have that kind of time. And then, sort of we'll do, the expert pollster that you are prediction for Tuesday. But for those of you that don't know John, I mean, he is President Trump's pollster. He is one of the most accurate pollsters in America. He's obviously, not only has clients that are running right now, but he's just generally paying attention to what's going on. So let's start, John, in the Senate, and let's start in Nevada. What are you seeing here in Nevada? What do you think? How do you think it's going to go?
Well, the fact that you're there is a very good sign. So, because right now, Adam Laxalt's been running ahead of the incumbent Democrat, Cortez Masto, by a couple points. Yeah, I always have to watch out in Nevada when I've worked there. I worked there in the special election for Mark Amadei, the congressman from Reno, et cetera. You always got to watch out for the unions, because the late Senator Reid had a machine that, they would even move around the early voting places. You would have to be with the unions to know that they were going to show up on such a day to be in a shopping center on that day to have early voting. So their people were more plugged in. With Amadei, we won by more than 20 points because we had a message back then that the Democrats were wrong. But today, the message around the country, like Nevada, 2/3 of America think the country's on the wrong track. And among those that think it's on the wrong track, 67% blame Joe Biden. Joe Biden's upside down. Most voters disapprove of him. 60% of all Americans think we're in a recession. Like Mar-a-Lago, when we went through those charts about what they thought was important, it's gotten far worse, where they say the economy is getting worse, not better, 67 to 26. And when you ask all Americans, have they been impacted by inflation, 84% say they have, and 47% of the voters this month say that they've been impacted by inflation so badly they're having trouble affording basic necessities. So in Nevada, where you rely on a growing economy and the gaming economy, et cetera, you're paying, $5, $6 a gallon for gas, and they're running out of diesel fuel. So the people that are getting ready for Thanksgiving and going to buy food, they're finding supply chain shortages, prices going up. Plus you have an immigration problem where the border's out of control, and that seeps into the Southwest and those states. So it's looking pretty good for Adam Laxalt because the Democrats have failed so royally. I mean, unbelievable.
John, one of the things I'm hearing here in Nevada is that the national mood that you just described is accurate, but things are even worse here. Inflation's even higher. I think the job growth that a lot of people are seeing nationally is not happening as quickly here. COVID lockdowns from Governor Sisolak and Cortez Masto and their allies did significant damage to a lot of families, and they're feeling it. So that's any predictions for what you're going to see here on Tuesday in Nevada?
Well, as long as that vote gets out, I think you could be looking at another Senator Laxalt from Nevada, which would be pretty.
Grandfather.
For those of us who are old, I knew Senator Laxalt from, I volunteered for Reagan, and then I started polling working for Arthur Finkelstein, who was Mike Deaver's pollster for Ronald Reagan. So it could be Back to the Future in the 21st century. So that would be good.
Yeah. Well, Adam's a good guy. I know him personally. He's a friend of mine. I'm really happy to not only support him, but to see how well he's doing here right now. So let's go. So we have some sort of high profile races. A lot other than this race, which is sort of to flip a seat in Georgia and Pennsylvania. Well, I guess in Pennsylvania, we're defending in Ohio and Wisconsin, we're defending Republican seats. Is there any themes that you're seeing across those three states? And, feel free to take those individually. I know that they're all different and unique.
Well, they're all different, but they're all seeing, without a doubt, inflation, cost of living, the economy is the top issue. Now, the difference is you're seeing in certain places crime. So that in Pennsylvania, around Philadelphia, crime's a big issue. Fetterman seems to be, we wish him well that after his stroke, he gets well. But before he had a stroke, he favors these radical policies where he wanted to let go like a third of all the people in jails in Pennsylvania. You get in Wawa, the convenience store operators, their headquarters in Philadelphia, and they're moving out because they can't secure their stores. They're being shoplifted and raided by gangs and stuff. And so you got a real serious crime problem in Philadelphia and around the city there. You've got also Western Pennsylvania. They're worried about the fracking industry where they're an oil and gas state that they export, and it's important to the country as well as internationally. And, those people are worried about their jobs. And so it looks like Senator Oz has taken Senator Oz, jumping ahead, Dr. Oz, Dr. Senator, he's got multiple titles. It looks like he's taken a couple-point lead since they had their debate. Same in Georgia for Herschel Walker. Every poll I've seen that I think is reliable has Herschel ahead, and maybe he might be able to win without a runoff. And then when you go to Arizona, the other of the 4 Senate seats where Republicans are looking to knock off incumbent Democrats.
To pick up, right?
Yeah, the border, as you know, Blake Masters has made the border an issue against Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly's admitted there's not much they've done. And the Libertarian candidate dropped out this week and endorsed Blake Masters. That was really important.
Yeah,
so
that is important.
He was behind 2 to 4 points in the polls, and now all of a sudden he's pulling even. So in close elections, we may be talking in the Senate, not just knocking off enough Democrats to get a majority, because we're at 50-50, and it looks like Senator Johnson's ahead. We're winning in North Carolina. Marco Rubio, who they thought they were going to get in trouble, he's going to win decisively in Florida. And so if Oz keeps the seat in Pennsylvania, and we then can knock off a couple of these Democratic senators, we may even expand the map, where you could see Leora Levy win in Connecticut, knock off Dick Blumenthal, who's really disliked. Joe O'Dea might win in Colorado, and Smiley, the Republican candidate in Washington, could win. So you may see a pickup of not just 1 or 2 seats in the Senate, and maybe 3 or 4, could be 5.
Yeah. So if Connecticut is in play, if New Hampshire's in play, if Washington State is in play, and obviously Lee Zeldin in New York is stronger than probably it should be because of the issues with New York City and crime, and his he's running a really good campaign. That would suggest a true wave election, right? A true red wave on Tuesday.
Well, I don't want to predict a wave yet, but it looks really good. And full disclosure, I work for Lee Zeldin. And Lee Zeldin, they were saying all along that we couldn't win, et cetera. We're getting ready to toss up now. It's a dead even race. All the momentum's on Lee's side. And every time Governor Hochul thinks that she's got us stalled, Lee just keeps on plowing ahead. What's terrible? What's terrible is you had a situation where over the summer, Lee personally got attacked at a rally by some guy who wanted to, do him harm and maybe even kill him. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was a gang shootout, and he lives in suburban Suffolk County in a nice middle-class area. There was a gang shootout on his front lawn on Columbus Day weekend when he was in the Bronx with his wife at a Columbus Day parade. He had to drive back to Suffolk because they're twin girls who were home studying. There were shots going off from gang members doing a drive-by. So Governor Hochul, she she wasn't agreeing to any debates. We got her to agree to one debate on the 25th on Spectrum News. And when Lee tells her, he says, we need to put criminals behind bars. He's going to fire Alvin Bragg, declare a crime emergency, repeal cashless bail, which Hochul has doubled down on. She won't change it. But when in that debate, in response, she said to Lee, "I don't know why this is so important to you." It was unbelievable, and she's hurting now. And they're bringing in Joe Biden Sunday to Yonkers, New York. That is really bad. I mean, Joe Biden's going to do for her what he did for Terry McAuliffe against Glenn Youngkin last year. He's coming in.
Well, and I saw they sent in the cavalry. Hillary Clinton, I think, has come in support of Governor Hochul. So I don't know what they're selling, but I think they're bringing in the wrong surrogates, because as you see, I'm here with Adam doing, talking about law and order and arresting the crime rate and all the issues that are facing real America. And they're, continuing to I think, just try to get their base to turn out. I sense from the numbers that maybe what we saw in 18 and 20 is not going to happen. It's going to be a lot of Republicans showing up, but the Democrats do not appear, based on early voting, to be showing up like they had in the last couple of elections.
No, they're down compared to 2020. I mean, 2020 was an exception because you had a pandemic. You also had Mark Zuckerberg popping in $400 million.
Yep.
They changed the election laws in states like Georgia and Arizona and Wisconsin, where in Georgia, you had the unsecured drop boxes. This year, we changed that law last year. We got attacked for it. Nobody's civil rights are being denied. They're having record turnouts for a midterm. But as you said, Republican numbers are up. Democrat numbers are down. The absentees aren't what they were like, where you had these, even in New York last year, the Conservative Party, we defeated their propositions to have same-day registration and no excuse absentees, because in New York, the voters in a majority Democrat state were concerned about fraud. So this year, you're seeing the numbers of Democrat early voting absentees is definitely way off. Republicans are coming more to the polls early in person. And on election day, we will dominate on election day. So we've got to get through the next 4 days and really just push it. So,
yeah. And how do you think? I saw President Trump last night in Iowa, and how do you feel his, the Republican base appears to be responding to him very favorably. He's going to the places to turn out those Republican votes. Northwest Iowa, where we were, very red. Those are the people that need to show up. So would you say this is kind of a base election, and the Republicans are doing a much better job so far getting their people?
I think it's beyond the base. I mean, Granted, every time they attack President Trump, it gets stronger because it's all political. And so in our last national poll that I mentioned, among the Republican primary voters, which includes independents nationally, 65% want Trump to run again. You have 81 to 14. If he runs again, they say they'll support him. And in a field of a dozen candidates, he's winning like 53 to 23 over DeSantis as the next closest person. So it's overwhelming support. But the better one is, in that survey, it's modeled after a 2020 election. So there's more Democrats than Republicans. There's certainly more Biden voters than Trump voters. But Trump beats Joe Biden in that poll for 2024, 50 to 44. He beats Kamala Harris by 9 points, 51 to 42. So there's real buyer's remorse about the last election, where you've got people who didn't vote for him last time and said, I'm not going to watch his rallies. I'm not going to follow his tweets if he goes back on Twitter or read his Facebook. But you know what? I'm going to vote for him because he was a better president than Joe Biden. Because back then, gas was $2 a gallon. The border was secure. Crime was down. Inflation was down. He's looking really good to a lot of people that didn't vote for him last time. And since you're out there with Adam Laxalt, for us old Reaganites, this is like Reagan. In 76, he lost the nomination to Ford. But after 4 years of Jimmy Carter, it was Ronald Reagan in a landslide. I think this year it's taken Biden less than 2 years, and Biden has proven to be the worst president in the history of America. After, I would say, and you might say too, after the best president in the history of the United States, probably
no
the
doubt.
worst president in the history of the United States.
So as a pollster, I mean, there are people on the Democrat side like you that, their job is to read what the American people want. And obviously, politics is very much a reflection on the people. The representatives should represent the people's interests and what's important to them. What are the Democrats seeing in their polls that suggest that, again, their policies that we're living under right now and are crushing a lot of American families are the thing to bring into Americans' lives? Why are they so committed to, for example, the Green New Deal and these very radical climate agenda that they appear to want? I just don't see that as I'm going around the country and around my home state of Iowa. I just don't see people wanting that. Where is that? Is it just because of the urban elites, or what's happening?
Well, what's interesting is that there are some Democrat pollsters I have a great amount of respect for. They may disagree with them philosophically, but I have a great amount of respect for their professional integrity. What I find interesting is some of them are distancing themselves from their own party and policies right now. So you got people like Doug Schoen coming out front saying they've gone too far left. They've gone too far to the socialist progressive side. Mark Penn is saying a similar kind of message. And these are the Democrats that, worked for Bill Clinton when he got elected.
Yeah.
And when the centrist part of the Democrat Party is saying you guys have gone too far, and when we're seeing in polls like Lee Zeldin's being propelled in New York by Democrats. I mean, they're coming over to our side. We're winning independents that we lost 2 years ago. The white suburban college-educated women that the Democrats wanted to switch, they're coming back to us. And so you're getting the suburban moms have become security moms, and they're voting for us. And so I think the Democrat pollsters got a tough job right now. And I would never say, like some people want to talk about the red wave. It could be, but remember Mitt Romney in 2012. At this point in time, everybody thought he was going to win, and they stopped polling like a week out, and they skipped Hurricane Sandy hits. They skipped over New York and New Jersey because they said it wasn't in play. Obama goes in and hugs Chris Christie, and Sunday, Monday, Obama's ahead in the polls. So until we get there on Tuesday, we're not done.
Yeah. So we only have a few minutes left. I wanted my question before the final question. The final question is the predictions based on your polling. But my question before that is, do you find interesting the betting websites that bet on politics, that show how real money is placing on these races, or do you just see that as people reading the polls and then just gambling? Do you give the betting sites any credence?
Well, I do to some degree, and a lot of them are limited, and a lot of times they lead the actual polling numbers, because still you'll get skewed media polls that will have a Democrat bias. They say they can't get Trump voters on the phone. They don't even try, so they underpoll Republicans. But I think some of those betting sites, like a lot of times, I have friends like Larry Kudlow, and when he was at Bear Stearns, we used to brief the investors at Bear Stearns about the upcoming election. All of a sudden I'm getting calls from investors. And when you watched, Wall Street kind of went up over the last couple of weeks. And it was a parallel to, okay, the Republicans could take back the Senate, not just the House, but the Senate.
Yeah.
And so what you're seeing is the investor markets where there's real serious money, serious money. They're saying, okay, we're going to move away from these green stocks and back to oil and gas and back to the pipelines and back to defense industries, et cetera. And you're seeing that kind of investment because a lot of times by election day, it's all washed out. They know, they're the ones that are making the bets where they know that that the voters are moving back to reclaiming Congress for the Republicans and the Senate to stop a lot of these bad policies.
Okay, so finally, John, What is your prediction first for the Senate? How many seats do Republicans or Democrats end up with on Tuesday? Or after any runoffs? So, if there's a runoff in Georgia, for example, I don't want to preclude that.
If the election was today, I think the Republicans get 52 to 54 seats in the Senate.
Okay.
And we got a couple days. The Democrats are trying to have a big weekend turnout to come back in early voting. But I think we get 52 to 4 seats, mainly because, we fixed the election law in Georgia. There's no unsecured drop boxes. Election laws have been fixed in Wisconsin and in Arizona, where, ironically, you're having these Senate races play out. Nevada, it's a little tougher. But so I think we get 52 to 54 Senate seats. And I think in the House, a lot of these toss-up races that are, we don't lose any Republican toss-ups. We win the Republican. I've had the generic ballot went from being even in August, 45-45, to being up 6 this month. Last time I had up 7 was 94 when I presented that to Gingrich back then.
Yeah.
It was the win.
Yeah.
So this could be, we could be talking about 50 seats or more in the House if all those toss-up races fall our way. The lean Democrat, the tilt Democrat, they fall our way.
Yeah. And do you think that it will all break late, or is it currently breaking? I've read a lot and talked to a lot of people in the last 2 weeks that, have said the same thing you've said, that it feels like it's breaking our way. That, they're trying to, qualify that. This weekend's obviously important, but, sort of all things being in the trend lines, it could be those 52, 54 in the Senate for Republicans, and maybe even up to 50 House seats, which would be a pretty significant, really a rebuke of Biden and the left's policies that are hurting ordinary Americans.
Yeah, I think the Democrats have banked some votes, particularly like in Philadelphia, where you have Pennsylvania, where you have Act 97. They beat us badly in the early absentee voting.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to come back, and I don't think they have the ability to do what they did 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago was really bad. This time, I think a lot of our people are watching, and hopefully all the ballots get counted quickly on election day. And a lot of these states are counting the absentees first and the early in-person first. So on election night, when they close the polling places in Virginia, we'll see like Virginia 2nd Congressional District, Virginia 7th. If they come our way, it's going to be a good night. And Georgia, the votes get counted early too. So I think we get to see.
Yeah. Well, John, we're gonna have to leave it at that. They gotta wash the bus, and I need to get off of it. And but thank you for your time, John McLaughlin. Obviously, President Trump's pollster and a very successful and accurate pollster. So, if people want to learn more about your business or yourself, how do they track you down?
Well, they could go to our website, McLaughlinonline.com, and you can follow us on Twitter from there and Facebook on there.
All right.
Hopefully, I'll see you back in Iowa, and we'll see if our friend has an important announcement that you can help him with after November.
We said last night he very, 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 very might most likely do something that everybody'd be happy about. So we'll leave it at that, John. Thanks for your time, man.
All right, let's win on Tuesday. Thank you.
All right, we will. Bye-bye.